Sorry, Emily, but Amanda needs this money more than you do. She got into Yale. We can't let her miss this opportunity, my father said, not even looking up from his laptop as he casually destroyed my future. My hands trembled as I stood in his home office, staring at the bank statement showing my college fund, the one I'd been building since I was 12 with every birthday check, summer job, and academic prize. Completely emptied. That was my money, I whispered, my voice shaking. I earned it. I saved it. How could you just? Oh, don't be so dramatic, my mother chimed in from the doorway, waving her hand dismissively. You can go to community college like you planned. Amanda needs a proper education. She has real potential. I was 18, had just graduated high school as valedictorian, and had watched my parents drain the $42,000 I'd saved for college to fund my younger sister's dream school expenses. Amanda, who'd barely maintained a B average but apparently had natural talent according to our parents. Besides, my mother added with that condescending smile I'd grown to hate, you're good with money. You'll figure something out. Maybe get a job at that coffee shop you like. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I simply nodded, turned around, and walked out of that office with my back straight and my mind racing. They were right about one thing. I was good with money, and I was about to show them exactly how good. That was 4 years ago. I'm Emily Chen, 22 years old, and I'm about to graduate from the same community college my parents thought was my consolation prize. But that's not the interesting part of my story. The interesting part is what I did with my $12 per hour barista job, and why my parents are now desperately trying to get back into my life. It started the morning after they emptied my account. I walked into the Daily Grind, the local coffee shop where I'd been a regular customer throughout high school, and asked for a job. The owner, Sarah, took one look at my perfectly pressed shirt and determined expression and hired me on the spot. You seem like someone who knows what they want, she said, handing me an apron. Let's see what you can do. What Sarah didn't know, what no one knew, was that I had a plan. While Amanda was moving into her ivy-covered dorm room with our parents' proud help, I was learning everything I could about coffee beans, roasting techniques, and profit margins. Every free moment between classes and shifts, I studied business operations, supply chains, and digital marketing. 3 months into my job, I noticed something. The shop's specialty drinks, while popular, had terrible profit margins. The ingredients were expensive, the preparation time was long, and the pricing wasn't optimized. I spent 2 weeks analyzing sales data, costs, and customer preferences during my breaks. Sarah, I said one quiet afternoon, sliding a detailed spreadsheet across the counter, I think I found a way to increase our profits by 23% without losing any customers. She raised an eyebrow, picked up the spreadsheet, and spent the next hour going through my calculations. By the end of that day, we had restructured the menu, adjusted our ordering system, and implemented my suggestions. Within a month, profits were up exactly as I predicted. That's when Sarah made me assistant manager. But I wasn't done. I noticed our coffee bean supplier was unreliable and overpriced. I spent my weekends researching alternatives, making connections with local roasters, and learning about sustainable farming practices. 6 months later, I had negotiated better deals with new suppliers, cutting our costs while improving quality. Sarah was impressed enough to make me full manager, but what really caught her attention was my idea for expansion. Mobile coffee carts, I explained, showing her my business plan. We can set up at local events, business districts, and college campuses. Low overhead, flexible locations, and we can test new markets without committing to a full store. And where would we get the money for this? She asked, though I could see the interest in her eyes. I pulled out another spreadsheet. I've saved every penny from my salary and tips. With the raise you gave me for the profit improvements, I have $8,000. I'd like to invest it in our first cart. Sarah studied me for a long moment. Make it a partnership. I'll match your investment and we'll split the cart profits 50-50. That first cart, stationed strategically near the business district's busiest intersection, paid for itself in 3 months. By the end of the year, we had 3 carts, and I had learned more about running a business than any textbook could teach me. Meanwhile, Amanda was struggling at Yale. I heard snippets from family friends. She was on academic probation, had changed majors 3 times, and was finding herself through expensive shopping trips and spring break vacations. My parents kept dumping money into her education, even selling their vacation home to cover her extra semesters. I focused on my own path. Between classes, managing the daily grind, and overseeing our growing cart business, I barely had time to think about my family's betrayal. Every time I received my profit share from the carts, I invested most of it back into the business, keeping detailed records of every penny. Then came the opportunity that would change everything. A large tech company was opening a campus in our city. They were looking for local businesses to provide coffee service for their employees, all 2,000 of them. The contract would be huge, but they needed a provider who could handle the volume and maintain consistent quality. I spent 2 weeks preparing our proposal, drawing on everything I'd learned about operations, scaling, and quality control. Sarah watched me work with a knowing smile. The day of the presentation, I walked into the conference room wearing a suit I'd bought secondhand and restyled myself. The corporate executives expected to see a chain representative. Instead, they got me, young, prepared, and absolutely confident in what we could deliver. Our mobile units can be positioned strategically throughout your campus, I explained, showing them our data on peak times and traffic flow. We can adjust locations based on usage patterns, ensure consistent quality through our centralized roasting facility, and provide detailed analytics on consumption patterns. I walked them through our quality control systems, our sustainable sourcing practices, and our tech-enabled ordering system that would integrate with their employee accounts. They asked tough questions. I had tougher answers. 2 weeks later, we got the contract. It would require significant expansion, new equipment, more staff, a larger roasting facility. The investment needed was substantial. That's when Sarah made me an offer that left me speechless. "I'm ready to retire," she said, sitting me down one evening after closing. "I want to sell you the daily grind and my share of the cart business." I stared at her, calculating numbers in my head. "Sarah, I can't afford." She held up her hand. "I've watched you turn my comfortable little coffee shop into a growing enterprise. You've more than doubled our profits, created new revenue streams, and landed a contract that will transform the business. I'm offering you a loan. You can pay me over 5 years from the profits. I know you'll succeed because I've seen how you work." I took a deep breath, pulled out my ever-present spreadsheet, and started running scenarios. Within an hour, we had structured a deal that would work for both of us. That was 8 months ago. Today, the Daily Grind enterprise operates the original shop, 12 mobile units, and a state-of-the-art roasting facility. We employ 35 people, have contracts with 3 major tech companies, and are expanding into ready-to-drink cold brew distribution. Last week, a national business magazine did a feature on young entrepreneurs. They valued my company at just over $5 million. The article mentioned my age, my start as a barista, and my expansion plans for the next year. That's when my phone started ringing. First came the text from Amanda. "Gee, sis, so proud of you. We should totally catch up. Bito, do you need any help with your business? I'm thinking of leaving Yale." Then my mother called, leaving a voicemail full of forced cheer. "Emily, darling, we had no idea you'd become so successful. Your father and I were just talking about how we always believed in you." Finally, my father emailed. "Your mother and I realize we may have made a mistake. We'd like to make it up to you, perhaps over dinner. We could discuss investment opportunities." I sat in my office, the same room where I used to count my tips and dream of college, looking at their messages. The irony wasn't lost on me. 4 years ago, they emptied my college fund because Amanda needed it more. Now they wanted to invest in the business I built without their help. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Amanda. "Mom and Dad feel really bad about the whole college fund thing. They're having money problems since Dad's business isn't doing well. Maybe we could all talk." I picked up my phone, typed out a response, then paused, my finger hovering over the send button. The message was simple. "Sorry, but I don't need your money. I've learned exactly what I'm worth." Before I could decide whether to send it, Sarah, who had stayed on as a mentor, walked in. She took one look at my face and the phone in my hand and raised an eyebrow. "Family?" she asked. I nodded. "The ones who thought you weren't worth investing in?" I nodded again. She smiled, that wise smile that had guided me through the past 4 years. "Then I think you know what to do." I did. I put down my phone, picked up the business plan for our next expansion, and got back to work. Success, I'd learned, was the best response to those who doubted you. Besides, I had a meeting in an hour with a venture capital firm interested in funding our expansion into the ready-to-drink market. They'd value the company at $50 million. I smiled, thinking of my father's email about investment opportunities. Some investments, like some relationships, are best left in the past. The venture capital meeting was scheduled for 2 p.m. at our flagship store, my choice of location. I wanted potential investors to see our operation firsthand, to understand that this wasn't just about numbers on a spreadsheet. As I prepared for the meeting, my phone kept buzzing with messages from my family. Amanda had escalated to hourly texts. Please respond. Dad's really stressed about money. Yale's raising tuition again, and they might have to take out another mortgage. I muted the notifications and focused on what mattered. The store hummed with the familiar rhythm of espresso machines and customer chatter. Every employee moved with precision, following the systems I'd developed. The morning rush was handled flawlessly, just as I'd trained them. "Miss Parker?" A voice called from the entrance. I turned to see 3 people in business suits, the venture capital team, 15 minutes early. "Perfect. Welcome to the daily grind," I said, stepping forward with the confidence that comes from knowing every inch of your business. "Would you like a tour before we start?" The lead investor, Jessica Torres, smiled. "We've loved one. I noticed your mobile unit outside our office last week. Impressive operation." I led them through the store, explaining our workflow optimizations, quality control measures, and staff training programs. I showed them our inventory management system, custom built to track everything from bean origins to customer preferences. "And this," I said, leading them to a sealed door, "is our innovation lab." Inside, stainless steel equipment gleamed under bright lights. 2 of our baristas were testing new cold brew formulations, making careful notes on their tablets. "We're developing ready-to-drink products that maintain the quality of freshly brewed coffee while offering convenience," I explained. "Our initial market tests show significant demand." Jessica nodded approvingly. "Your attention to detail is impressive. But tell me, Miss Parker, why seek investment now? Your current operation is clearly successful." I pulled out my tablet and brought up our growth projections. "Because I believe in scaling intelligently. We have the formula for success. Now we need the resources to expand nationwide." The meeting lasted 2 hours. By the end, Jessica's team had more than just numbers. They had witnessed our operation firsthand, tasted our products, and seen the passion that drove our success. "We'll be in touch next week with our decision," Jessica said as they prepared to leave. "But I must say, your vision is compelling." As I walked them out, I spotted a familiar car pulling into the parking lot, my parents' Mercedes, looking considerably less shiny than I remembered. I quickly said goodbye to the investors and turned to head back inside, but I wasn't fast enough. "Emily," my mother's voice called out. "Darling, we've been trying to reach you." I turned slowly, maintaining my professional composure. My parents hurried toward me, my mother in her designer clothes that now looked slightly dated, my father's suit showing signs of wear. "Who were those people?" my father asked, his eyes following the departing investors. "Potential buyers. Venture capitalists," I replied coolly. "Was there something you needed?" My mother stepped forward, reaching for a hug I didn't return. "We've been so worried. You haven't returned our calls, and with everything we've been hearing about your success." "I've been busy," I cut her off. "Running a successful business takes time." "About that," my father interjected, straightening his tie, a nervous habit I remember from childhood. "Your mother and I have been discussing it, and we think we could help. I have years of business experience, and with the current situation." "The current situation," I repeated, my voice level. "You mean your financial problems? The ones that have nothing to do with me?" They exchanged glances. My mother's smile faltered slightly. "Emily, sweetie, we're family. Families help each other. And since you're doing so well—" "Family?" I couldn't help but laugh. "Like when you helped me by taking my college fund? When you told me I should be grateful for the opportunity to work my way through community college?" "That was different," my father protested. Amanda needed designer clothes and spring break trips to Cancun. I finished for him. I needed an education I'd saved for. We all make choices, and we all live with the consequences. Just then, my phone buzzed, an email from Jessica's team. I glanced at it briefly, then looked back at my parents. "I have another meeting," I said. If you'd like to purchase coffee, the line starts there. Otherwise, I'll have to ask you to leave. Emily, my mother's voice cracked slightly. Please, your father's business is struggling. Amanda might have to leave Yale. We could lose the house. I thought about the number in the email I just received, the venture capital firm's initial offer. It was more than enough to solve all my family's problems 10 times over. They knew it too, which was why they were here. I remember something you told me 4 years ago, I said, looking directly at my father. You said I was good with money, that I'd figure something out. And you know what? You were right. I did figure it out. I figured out who to trust, what to value, and how to build something on my own. I turned to head back inside, then paused. I suggest you give Amanda the same advice. Maybe she'll figure something out too. As I walked away, I heard my mother start to cry and my father trying to hush her. Part of me wanted to turn back to help them despite everything. But a larger part, the part that remembered countless nights working double shifts, studying until dawn, and building this business piece by piece, kept walking. Inside my office, I opened Jessica's email properly. The venture capital firm was offering $25 million for a 30% stake in the Daily Grind enterprise, with an option for additional funding for national expansion. They wanted to keep me as CEO with full operational control. I thought about how far I'd come from that day in my father's office, staring at an empty bank account. I thought about Sarah's belief in me, about every employee who trusted my vision, about every small victory that had led to this moment. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Amanda. They're crying in the car. How can you be so cold? I typed back a response, and this time I hit send. I'm not being cold. I'm being business-minded. Isn't that what they wanted? Then I turned back to Jessica's email and began drafting my response. I had an empire to build, and this was just the beginning. The news of the venture capital investment hit the local business papers first. Local coffee chain secures $25 million investment splashed across headlines, complete with my photo and age prominently featured. The story of a young entrepreneur's success was too good to pass up, and soon larger publications picked it up. That's when Amanda showed up at my office unannounced. You've got some nerve, she said, barging past my assistant. Do you know Mom hasn't stopped crying for days? I looked up from the expansion plans I was reviewing. My sister looked different from the last time I'd seen her, less polished, more frantic. Her designer bag was a knockoff, her manicure chipped. You can't just walk in here, Amanda, I said calmly. We have a reception desk for a reason. Oh, excuse me, Miss CEO, she sneered. Sorry, I didn't make an appointment to see my own sister. The sister who's letting our parents lose everything while she sits here counting her millions. I set down my pen and really looked at her. Is that what this is about? Money? Don't act all high and mighty, she snapped. You know Dad's business is failing. They might lose the house we grew up in. And here you are, swimming in cash, refusing to help your own family. Interesting, I said, opening my desk drawer and pulling out an old pink statement. Where was this concern for family when they took my college fund? When they told me community college was good enough for me? That was different. I got into Yale. And what did you do with that opportunity, Amanda? How many majors did you change? How many semesters did you waste? She flushed red. I was finding myself. No, I corrected her. You were spending their money, and my money, while I was finding myself. The difference is, I did it while working double shifts and building a business. And now you're punching us for it, she accused, holding some stupid grudge while our parents suffer. I stood up, my patience wearing thin. I'm not punishing anyone. I'm running a business. The same business I built while you were finding yourself at Yale. The same business that succeeded because I learned the value of hard work and smart investments. So that's it, she demanded. You're just going to let them lose everything. They're not losing everything, I pointed out. They're losing the things they bought with borrowed money and bad decisions, just like they lost my respect when they stole my college fund. Amanda's face crumpled slightly. They did it for me, she said quietly, because they believed in me. No, I replied, equally quiet. They did it because it was easier than saying no to you, easier than admitting their perfect daughter might not be ready for Yale, easier than acknowledging that their other daughter had actually earned her opportunity. She sank into the chair across from my desk, suddenly looking very young. I failed my last semester, she admitted. They don't know yet. I can't go back. I wasn't surprised. What's your plan? I don't have one. She threw up her hands. That's why I'm here. You're the one who's good with money, good with business. You could help us, all of us. I studied her for a moment. You're right, I am good with business, which is why I know that throwing money at a problem doesn't fix it. Dad's business is failing because he hasn't adapted to changing markets. The house is in trouble because they took out multiple mortgages to fund your education. These aren't problems I can fix with cash. They are problems that require fundamental changes. So you'll help. Hope crept into her voice. Not the way you want, I said firmly. But I'll make you an offer, the same offer Sarah made me 4 years ago when I was starting out. She leaned forward. What kind of offer? A job. Entry level, like I was. You'll learn every aspect of the business from the ground up. If you work hard and show potential, there's room for advancement, but you'll earn it, just like everyone else here. A job? She looked offended. I have a Yale education. An incomplete Yale education, I corrected. And right now, you have 0 practical skills. I'm offering you a chance to learn, to build something real. Take it or leave it. She stood up abruptly. You know what? Keep your job. Keep your millions. You clearly care more about money than family. As she stormed toward the door, I called after her. That's where you're wrong, Amanda. I care about what money represents: hard work, dedication, integrity. All the things our parents should have taught us but didn't. She paused at the door. You've changed, she said accusingly. No, I replied. I've just stopped apologizing for who I've always been. After she left, I sat back in my chair, thinking about choices and consequences. My phone buzzed. A text from Sarah. Saw your sister storm out. You okay? I smiled, typing back, never better. Still on for dinner. Sarah had become more than a mentor. She was the family I'd chosen, the one who believed in me when my blood relatives didn't. We had weekly dinners where we discussed business, life, and everything in between. That evening, over pasta at our favorite Italian restaurant, I told her about Amanda's visit. You offered her a job. Sarah raised an eyebrow. That's generous. Is it? I twirled pasta around my fork. Or am I just trying to prove something? Does it matter? Sarah asked wisely. Sometimes the best lessons come from complicated motivations. She didn't take it, I said. Of course not, Sarah smiled. She's not ready yet, but you made the offer. That says something about who you are. I thought about that. When they took my college fund, I was devastated. But now I almost want to thank them. Because it led you here. Because it taught me what I'm capable of, I corrected. If they hadn't done that, I might never have discovered my passion for business. I might have gone to a 4-year college, gotten a regular job, lived a completely different life. Sarah raised her wine glass. To unintended consequences. I clinked my glass against hers, smiling. To learning the value of $1 and your stuff. Later that night, I received an email from my father. The subject line read, I understand now. Emily, it began. Today, Amanda told us about your offer. She was angry, but something she said made me think. She said you offered her exactly what you had. A chance to earn her way. I realize now that by trying to make things easier for her, we may have made them harder in the long run. And by underestimating you, we missed the chance to be part of something extraordinary. I'm sorry, not just for the college fund, but for not seeing who you really were, who you are. If the job offer still stands, I've encouraged Amanda to reconsider. Either way, I want you to know I'm proud of you, even if I have no right to be. I read the email twice, letting the words sink in. Then I opened my laptop and began to type. Dad, the offer stands. Not because I've forgiven you. I haven't, not completely, but because I learned something important on my journey. Success means nothing if you don't use it to lift others up, even those who once let you down. Tell Amanda to come by Monday at 8 a.m. She'll start where I started, learning the fundamentals of quality, service, and hard work. What she does with that opportunity is up to her. Emily. I hit send, then turned to the pile of expansion plans on my desk. Tomorrow, we begin implementing the venture capital investment, taking the daily grind national. But tonight, I allowed myself a moment to appreciate how far I come from that scared 18-year-old with an empty bank account. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't about getting even. It's about getting better. 1 year later, I stood in front of our newest daily grind location, our 50th store nationwide. The morning sun glinted off the sleek signage as I watched a familiar figure approach, dressed in our company uniform and carrying a stack of inventory reports. "Morning, boss," Amanda said, suppressing a yawn. "Just finished the overnight count at all downtown locations. Everything's ready for the health inspector today." I hid my smile. When Amanda had shown up that Monday morning a year ago, I honestly hadn't expected her to last a week, but something had changed in her. Maybe it was hitting rock bottom, or maybe she finally found something worth working for. "How's the training program going?" I asked, unlocking the front door. She brightened. "Really well. I think I've finally figured out how to explain the inventory system to new hires. I used my Yale presentation skills for something useful for once." After 3 months of proving herself as a barista, Amanda had worked her way up to shift supervisor. By month 6, she was managing our busiest location. Now she was developing our national training program, combining her education with hard-earned practical experience. "Mom and Dad asked about you," she said carefully, following me inside. "Dad's business is doing better since he took your advice about modernizing. And Mom, well, she misses you." I nodded, inspecting the pristine counter space. Our relationship with our parents had shifted into something different. Not quite healed, but no longer broken. Dad had swallowed his pride and consulted me about updating his business model. Mom had stopped asking for money and started asking for advice instead. "The holiday party is next week," I said, turning to my sister. "They're welcome to come. As guests, not as investors." Amanda smiled. "They'll be glad to hear that. You know, Em, I never properly thanked you." "For what?" "For not giving me what I wanted, for giving me what I needed instead." She straightened her manager's badge proudly. "I get it now, why you made me start at the bottom, why you pushed me so hard. This feels different than Neil. This feels earned," I supplied. "Yeah, everything here I earned." The morning crew began arriving, each greeting us professionally before starting their opening duties. I watched Amanda shift seamlessly into her training director role, guiding new employees with a confidence that came from genuine knowledge. My phone buzzed. A text from Sarah, ready for the big announcement. I smiled, typing back, "Meeting in an hour. Everything's set." Later that morning, I stood in our flagship store's conference room, pacing my assembled management team. Amanda sat near the front, curiosity written across her face. "As you know," I began, "the daily grind has expanded beyond our wildest expectations this year. We're now in 12 states, with plans for 20 more locations by year's end." I paused, looking around the room. None of this would have been possible without the incredible team we've built. Which is why today, I'm announcing some changes to our corporate structure. I clicked to the next slide, revealing an organizational chart. Amanda's hand flew to her mouth as she saw her name. Director of National Training and Quality Control. Additionally, I continued, we're implementing an employee stock ownership program. Every full-time employee will now have the opportunity to own a piece of what they helped build. The room erupted in applause. As people began discussing the announcement, Amanda made her way to me. "I don't know what to say," she whispered. "Say you'll keep earning it," I replied. "That's all I've ever asked." That evening, I had dinner with Sarah at the original Daily Grind after closing. She looked around the store with pride. "When I offered to sell you this place," she said, "I knew you'd do well. But this," she gestured to the awards lining the walls, the magazine covers featuring our success story. "This is beyond anything I imagined." I reached into my bag and pulled out a document. "Speaking of imagination, what do you think about becoming our Chief Innovation Officer? We could use your experience with our international expansion plans." Sarah's eyes widened as she read the offer. "Emily, are you sure?" "I learned from the best," I said simply. "About business, about mentorship, about giving people the chance to prove themselves. It's time we made it official." As we discussed the details, I thought about that teenage girl counting her savings for college. She thought losing her college fund was the end of her dreams. Instead, it had been the beginning of something bigger than she could have imagined. My phone lit up with a text from my father. "Just heard about Amanda's promotion. You've done more for her than Yale ever could. Thank you for not giving up on our family." I typed back, "Some investments just need time to show their returns." Looking around the store where it all began, I felt at peace. Success wasn't about proving my worth to those who doubted me. It was about proving it to myself, then using that strength to lift others up, even those who once let me down. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just about getting better. It's about making everything around you better too.